it's okay to be rejected. It's okay to shoot your shot. It's okay to try again. Those are the people who are successful, the people who don't give up
Yeah.
even when you are rejected. Hi, everybody. Welcome back to Pay to Travel, the UGC podcast. I am here today with Ericka, and I actually have been on Ericka's podcast, Boss Babe Reset. If you have not listened, go listen. I will link the episode that I did with you on your podcast below. So if you guys are interested in listening to that, you can. Ericka is a founder, she's a CEO. She's a boss. She's a bitch. She's great. Okay.
Yeah.
Love her. And we've just had great conversations. And I was like, we need to have you on the podcast. And we're going to talk about rejection. We're going to talk about embodying the energy of a CEO and how that all ties into being a content creator. So, Ericka, hello.
Hello. Thank you for having me. I'm really excited. We are professional yip yappers, so I
Yes.
know this is going to be so much fun.
I know we really are. Can you give the listeners a background on who you are, what you do?
Yeah, so my name is Ericka Nicole. I'm the founder of a skincare brand called Silkenn. We're a pollution protection skincare brand rooted in microbiome science. And then I'm also host of the Boss Babe Reset podcast, which is all about self-care hacks for high achieving women because working a corporate job and being a founder is quite exhausting. So we need to figure out how we are going to build sustainably because we are builders at the end of the day.
100%. Yeah. This podcast episode, if you're like, wow, I loved this topic. I love talking about these things. Definitely go listen to her podcast because it has
Please.
all the things to do with that of just like, how do we take care of ourselves as female entrepreneurs and how do we do this shit? Because it's hard.
It's extremely hard. It's so challenging, but anything that's worth it is typically challenging. So it's just how do we get through it? How do we get to the other side?
Ugh, yes, I know. Tell me a little bit more background on Silkenn. When did you start that?
Ooh, so the inception of Silkenn is in 2019. So my background is forensic science and pre-med. So I spent the beginning of my career hanging out with dead bodies, all of that fun stuff, doing crime scene, toxicology, very much Law and Order, CSI. In 2019, I had a super traumatic experience. My dad passed very unexpectedly from a pulmonary embolism. So, I mean, like we were watching football on Sunday, and then Monday, he was no longer here. And as a certified daddy's girl, that threw me for an emotional whirlwind. I was like, oh no, definitely in quarter life crisis season. And then having a job that's so morbid and you're around all of this death, it was just not good for my mental health. So I was like, can't do this. So I up and quit. And then I traveled for about 6 months. I call that my self care sabbatical. And that season was just for me to grieve, to heal, to kind of come back to myself. And it was during then that I realized that environmental stressors, pollution in particular, was triggering my acne and my eczema. Because I would go to the Caribbean where my family is from. My family's from a little island called Grenada, right next to Trinidad. And I'd go to the Caribbean, skin glowing. I would come back and visit a friend in Arizona, eczema's flaring, come back to New York, acne's like all over. And I'm like, what's happening? Yeah. So that's kind of the inception. So my background again is forensics. I used to study the microbiome in undergrad to determine time of death. That was the research project I was on. So I basically was like, there has to be a way to use microbiome science to protect your skin from pollution and environmental stressors. And that is the genesis of Silkenn. And it took me like 3 years to kind of get to like, oh, I'm actually going to act on this and work on this. So I didn't really start working on the brand until 2023. So about 4 years after having the idea. And there was like a lot of things that happened in between. Like I quit forensics, came back as an executive assistant because I knew nothing about building a business and was like, I need to learn how to do this.
Yeah.
So I believe the best way to learn how to build is to serve. So that's kind of what I went back into the 9 to 5 world as. And yeah, that's kind of where we are today. We're hopefully launching soon. So pre-launch founder stage is intense. That was a ramble, but that's how we're here.
No,
That's
I love it.
insane.
I like can't imagine. Like I just props to you because a startup world is just so crazy. Like genuinely and like especially a product business and one that's so intensive as yours, like figuring out skincare and my like, oh my God, girl.
A capital
Crazy.
intensive at
Yeah.
that. And we're gonna get into the whole rejection thing. But as like a
Mhm.
founder that's looking to fundraise in this post 2020 climate, it is exhausting.
Yeah. I imagine. Okay, I would love to
Mhm.
talk about that. So, founding a company, getting capital, all this stuff, it has a lot to do with putting yourself out there, pitching people, getting rejected. And so, like, there's definitely a parallel there in terms of content creators. We're like pitching ourselves every day, we're getting rejected. And honestly, most businesses that you start, like, a lot of the beginning is just hard work and rejection and feeling like, oh my God, this sucks. And
Literally.
yeah, as like high achieving people and independent people, and we want to be our own boss, like that just comes with the territory. And I think a lot of people don't know how to deal with that because in a lot of other jobs, that's just, you don't have to like deal with rejection at that level. So I would
Right.
love to hear your kind of stories of rejection and what that process has been like for you and how you've worked through it.
Ooh, so many stories
I'm
of
sure.
rejection. I'm probably gonna like re-trigger myself kind of going down memory lane, but I think in the early days, it was rejection from a manufacturing perspective, and then it progressed to rejection from a team perspective, and now it's rejection from an investor perspective. So to kind of bring you along the journey in the early days, finding manufacturers to work with, most manufacturers have something called MOQs, which are minimum order quantities. So they want you to order a certain amount before they're willing to work with you. I'm a bootstrapped company. Girl, we don't have the
Yeah.
money. We cannot order 20,000 units on our first production run. So it was kind of just like, nope, you're too early. Nope, we don't believe in the vision. Nope, we don't get it. Nope, 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 nope. And it's like,
Yeah.
relax, ill. So that was like the early stages. And then like the mid stage was finding teams. So we finally found a manufacturer that could create the formula that we wanted, that was willing to work with our low MOQs. And then it was like a team thing because you need a team to scale to a $50 million company, which is what I'm manifesting and believing in for the next
Hell
5 years. And it's like, well, people don't want to work with you because like people don't see the vision. People don't understand where the company's going. People are not the right fit, or their like startup life is not for them. A lot of
yeah.
talent are very embedded in the corporate 9 to 5 structured culture. And I'm like, sir, ma'am, this is a startup. Like, we do not operate like your traditional corporate nine to
It's
five
crazy
structure.
over
So,
here.
at all. Like, it is very much putting out fires every single day. The stability, it's just not for you. So, a lot of rejection there, people not understanding the vision or wanting to help build the vision. But I always believe that's a blessing in disguise because the people that are meant to build with you will find you. And once you find your people, it's pure magic. And my team now is pure magic. And now we are fundraising. We're raising our pre-seed round. So that fundraising is a full-time job, first and foremost. And then add in, we are raising post DEI rollbacks as a woman of color, as a female founder. Like the odds are for sure stacked against us. So it is a very different fundraising climate. So I would say I've pitched probably 100 investors and we're still on our fundraising journey. So girl, rejection is the name of the game.
God damn. Oh, so like from a kind of emotional standpoint, I guess, how do you deal with that rejection? Because I have students all the time who they're like, I just feel so scared to pitch brands because I'm scared that they're going to say no or that they are going to like say something mean or like
Mhm.
whatever. And it's like, yeah, the reality is like that might happen. And
Yeah.
how do we deal with that?
Yeah. I wanna answer that in 2 ways. I'll answer that one from, like, the practical rejection way, and then I also wanna answer it from the brand founder way as a brand that's working with creators. I'll start
Yeah.
with the end because that answer is shorter. The worst that a brand can say is no.
Yeah.
Whether they say it nicely or politely, the worst they can say is no. So you miss every shot that you do not take, and we've got a lot of DMs. I get a lot of LinkedIn messages from content creators. If you can show that you are aligned with what we're doing and you can really put it together a good portfolio, good case of why what you do is something that we need to invest in, you might as well just shoot your shot. So that's from like the brand side. But from the personal emotional side, I think the biggest way to protect yourself during that rejection season is that you have to detach your worth from the outcome.
Mm.
Because rejection doesn't mean that you have failed, it means that the situation just was not aligned for you. So when your identity is so closely tied to the end result or that achievement, a no can feel very personal and we just lose sight of the overall vision that we're trying to fulfill. So I love to reframe rejection as just data points. It's data, it's not defeat. So really detaching your worth from the outcome gives you an entirely new perspective on the whole rejection landscape.
Yeah, I love that. And I know it's a cliche saying of like rejection is just redirection, but it's so true. And when you get rejected and it like just defeats you, that is coming from a mindset of lack and like, oh, there
Yeah.
aren't better things out there. Like that is internally like actually what's happening. And so it's like, how do we kind of shift that to be like, no, if it's not this, it's something better.
Yeah.
And I like fully believe that in like every aspect of life. And there's no lack. Like if you pitch 1,000 brands and all of them come back and say no, there's still millions out there that you can pitch, and that's
Yep.
okay. And like there's always options, there's always more. You can always find different opportunities. And I think creators just get so stuck in their head and they're kind of in this mindset of lack. And another thing too is you can always repitch a brand. Like
Huh.
I've had brands say no to me and I will go back to them 6 months later and pitch them again and be like, hey,
1,000%.
you know what? I know I pitched you before, but I'd still love to work with you, like blah, blah, blah. And it's okay. Like it's okay to be rejected. It's okay to shoot your shot. It's okay to try again. Those are the people who are successful, the people who don't give up
Yeah.
even when you are rejected.
1,000%. And I think it's so important that you bring that up. You have to rewrite that story in your brain immediately because the stories that we tell ourselves truly do influence the outcome, whether we want to believe it or not. Like that first story you tell yourself after a no really sets the tone for how you're going to go about future pitching. So instead of saying, oh, like I wasn't good enough or this they rejected me. It's like, this just wasn't my door. This wasn't my opportunity. Their loss.
Mhm.
Like, that's okay. And
Yeah.
then something else that I love to do is I have like a little rejection ritual because one thing I hate is like, when you get an email from whether it's a brand or an investor or someone, it's like, thank you so much for taking our meeting. You kind of already, once you see that in like the first
You're
sentence, you're
like,
kind of like, all right, here we are. Like, we already know what that is.
yeah.
I love to create like a nice rejection ritual, so to speak. So instead of spiraling or really getting into a bad mood, I have to like do something that reminds me like I am still that girl. So that can be going on a solo walk, walking to my favorite coffee shop and getting a matcha. I have my rejection playlist. Lizzo right now has been keeping me on par right now. Good as Hell has been on repeat. Feeling
Sorry.
good as hell has been on repeat. Like so create a ritual or something that you do that kind of gets you out of that sulky funk. And I think you'll see a really, really big difference on how you bounce back from that.
I'm literally so excited. We got our first podcast sponsor, which what the heck? And it's Huel. One of the best things that they have is these ready to drink meals. 35 grams of protein in here. That's literally insane. 27 vitamins and minerals, 7 grams of fiber. It's plant-based. It has like all the good stuff in it. And I just love these because I can grab them on the go. This is actually my favorite flavor that they have. It's iced coffee. So I'm like literally getting my coffee and my breakfast in one. And also, all these are literally under $5. And their other product that you have to try is the Daily Greens. I freaking love the peach and hibiscus flavor. I love these because they have all the vitamins and minerals. 42 has lion's mane in here, electrolytes, antioxidants, like literally all the things. So you can get 15% off of your purchase if you are a new customer using the code PAYED, PAYED. And if you use that code, you'll get 15% off of your purchase. We'll also link a code below. It's just www.huel, that's HUEL.com/PAYED. You can use my code and fill out the post-checkout survey to support the show. I love that. A rejection ritual. It happens all the time. So it's like
Mhm.
you literally need to have those things in place to be like, I'm going to be okay. And I
Yep.
can self-soothe and like it's
Yeah, right.
yeah, rejection is just it's really one of those things that never ends. It's hard because as a business owner, as a content creator, there is no end to the rejection. you just simply find better ways to cope with it. Like, for as long as we are pitching ourselves, we will be rejected. And I think that is hard. And I think a lot of people get overwhelmed by that. I had this happen to me a couple days ago, and I was like, literally like, what the fuck? Because
Ooh.
I pitched this brand and they got back and they're like, hey, like, can you send us some examples of like content that you've done that's similar to like these? And it was examples that past creators have done for them. This brand, I've had at least 4 of my UGC students work for them. So like, I know that like they work with content creators. I know that they pay.
Mhm.
I know that they've worked with my students. And I like sent them examples, sent them this whole email, and then like they didn't
Don't
respond.
tell me they curved you.
Okay, so
Girl,
I know.
girl.
I know. It's crazy. So they didn't respond. So I followed up. Hey, just checking in, blah, blah, blah. Would love to work together. And then basically she was just like, hey, like, we're going to pass for now. And I was like,
Excuse me? I beg your pardon?
I literally was like kind of shocked because I was like, damn, like, I know that I'm good at what I do. I've literally taught people that you've worked with. I know that you pay creators. So it was kind of this moment of like, damn, that sucks. And like, it
Yeah.
kind of makes you feel like, did I do something wrong? And like, blah, blah, blah. But then I just had to be like, no, like, it literally doesn't have to do with me. I don't know what's going on. It could be a budget thing. It could be
Mhm.
XYZ. It could be that they're looking for someone in a certain demographic that I do not fit right now. And like,
Right.
that's okay. And guess what? I can repitch them in a couple months.
And it's
And
not your responsibility to figure it out either.
right. No.
That's just wasted mental space.
Mhm. Mhm. I literally just I responded. I was like, no worries, blah, blah, blah. Sent them this nice email, closed my email, and I was like, all right, let's move on.
Yeah. Because what else are you gonna do?
Yeah.
Like, why am I going to stress myself out
Mm-mm.
stressing over why someone said no?
Right.
I am just literally going to trust that it's just not the right time for them or for me.
Yep.
So again, it's super cliche, like, oh, there's probably something else out there, but no, literally.
Literally, there is. And yeah, so and that's just to say, if you're listening to this and you're getting rejected a ton as a content creator, like, even I still get rejected in situations where I think it doesn't even make sense. And like,
Yeah.
that it just happens. And that is life. And that is what it means to pitch yourself and put yourself out there. And yeah, it happens no matter what stage of your journey you are in. So just know that we're all dealing with that shit.
Yeah. And it's okay that the first no's hit the hardest. I think the early rejections are like, oof, because
Mhm,
you haven't built up that armor to kind of shake it off and
mhm.
keep moving. So it's very okay for those first couple ones to kind of hit home just a little bit harder. But then
Yeah.
over time, resilience really is a muscle that is built over time. So eventually, if you're not there yet, eventually you will get to a point where it's like, all right, what's for dinner? Like, I can't even stress over this.
No, it's so true. Oh gosh. Yeah. So okay. So I think like being able to handle rejection, dealing with that is a major, major quality of a business owner and a CEO because we deal with it literally all of the time and we have to be able to bounce back. And I would love to talk about kind of this transition from seeing yourself as a content creator to being a CEO and a business owner and an entrepreneur, because I think a lot of people fail to make that jump mentally, and it
Yeah.
holds them back a ton because they just see themselves as, oh, I'm just a content creator. And literally, if you're a content creator and you are pitching brands and you are selling your services, like, you are a business and you are a business owner. You are literally your own boss. You work for yourself. You own a business. And that shift in, oh, I'm just a content creator. Oh, I just create videos, to I own a business and I am a CEO. I just think the mindset there is vastly different. And I would love to talk about this shift because you are a female entrepreneur, CEO, founder, and like, you definitely understand that energy and embody that energy. And I am curious kind of your thoughts on the differences that that mindset shift makes.
Yeah, I think what people forget is that anytime there is a financial exchange, a business transaction, you have the burden to operate like a CEO.
Yeah.
Like, this is a business, this is a financial exchange, so it's a really hard transition. You're leveling up your mindset. You have to open your capacity to understand that there is so much more that goes into this than what I may have initially signed up for, because not everyone goes into content creation with the expectation to monetize their skill set, because content creation is a skill set. But once you get to that level, it's like, "Okay, how do I make this transition?" So at least on the brand side, doing your research is extremely important on the brands that you're pitching, but the way in which you engage those conversations, I think, really sets the tone for how, at least me as a brand owner, is going to respond to you. So I think from a mental perspective, 1, it's understanding that you're operating as a business. 2, I think it's the level of professionalism that comes with that. You don't know how many emails I've gotten that are like, "Hi, name, I love your brand." And
Mhm.
it's like, name does not work here.
Yep.
So, like, definitely not interested. And I think opening your capacity. I think acknowledging that you're no longer in this, "I'm doing this for fun, I want to elevate my workflows," and thinking of the things that come with that. So, the systems, the professionalism, all of those things that come on the back end. And it's funny because I have this conversation with a lot of my friends who are either transitioning out of corporate, to pursue content creation, and they're so grateful for their corporate experience because it's taught them how to run their content creation careers with this corporate mindset. So I also think that's pretty interesting as well.
Yeah. There are so many challenges that come with working for yourself and being your own boss. And I think a lot of creators aren't prepared for that because they're like, oh, this is so fun and whatever. And then maybe they quit their job and they do content creation full time. Or maybe they're just deciding, okay, yes, I'm going to start monetizing now. And there's a lot of challenges that come with that. I mean, first and foremost, you are
You have a lot of free time and you have to keep yourself on a routine
exactly. It's
for
like
starters.
you're like you're responsible to yourself and you have to motivate yourself and tell yourself what to do and do it. And
Yeah.
that is hard. Like it is so hard because yes, you have clients and yes, like they have deadlines and stuff like that. So in a sense, like you are still working for them, but at the same time, like you are working for yourself. You're setting your daily schedule. You are setting all of these things up that typically a boss is telling you what to do. A boss is telling you to
Yeah.
clock in at this time, clock out at this time, do this task by noon, etc. And sure, you can tell yourself those things, but are you actually going to do it?
Right.
And are you going to stop scrolling on Instagram and actually work? And like it's hard. Like it is so hard to just motivate yourself and keep yourself responsible. And what's been your experience with that coming from kind of a more, I guess,
Mhm.
I don't know, corporate? Yeah.
Corporate lifestyle.
Yeah.
Yeah, girl, it's not for me. So if I'm being so honest. So it's been about a year. So I want to say last October, I had left my job to do my podcast and focus on the brand full time. And it was just because there was a lot of things that I needed to do. I was in a role where it paid very well, but I had to be in office 5 days a week. They had got rid of the remote hybrid schedule. And I was just like, I cannot do all of this. So that was my first time really being all in on this whole entrepreneurship, create your own schedule, a lot of free time type of situation. And it's cool. It's fun. I think I'm just a very structured person. So I'm the one who's like time blocking my calendar. This is what I have to do. Those things were okay. I think the biggest instability for me and as to why I had to go back to corporate was not just for only for the structure, but was for the monetary stability. I don't, I, like when you are freelancing and working for yourself, that emotional and mental pressure of everything is literally on me from not just my schedule, but the fluctuations in income and all of those things. I was like, girl,
Mhm.
you better dust off your resume and go back to work. Like, this is not for you. And granted, I have a bunch of friends who freelance, whether that be content creation or they have their own businesses. And hats off. Hats off. Maybe once my company gets to a certain point and I can pay myself a consistent salary, that mindset will change.
Yeah.
But I think we overlook the emotional regulation that comes with having to carry the load of everything yourself. And
Yes.
that can be extremely hard to navigate, especially if you may even be less structured in that capacity.
Mhm. Yeah, someone asked me the other day, a fellow content creator, she's like, "How do you stay sane? Like, you've been doing this for so long, like, how are you still sane after, like, doing this for over 3 years?" And I'm like, "Oh, no, I'm not."
Literally crashing out on the daily, but, like, we
Yeah.
love it.
No, I'm like, "No, I'm constantly crashing out." It's just literally, like, how it is, and that sucks, but it's like, you're your own business, so, like, you gotta figure it out month to month. Yeah, what deals are you getting? How much are you pitching, etcetera, and what I have found that has helped me is just that I have systems. And so I have systems and I have data. So I know if I pitch X amount of brands on average, X amount will reply. On average, I can negotiate X amount of deals. And over time you just learn that data and you kind of know. And so for me, that is what's comforting. Like it's
Yeah,
comforting to have the system and the data to be like, I know that if I put in this work, I will get this out. And without having that kind of data, I don't know, I would be so unstable, but, like, there are ways that you can have some stability, but also, of course, like, it's always variable, and,
yeah,
like, you don't know what's gonna happen the next month, and if you're gonna have a brand payment delayed, et cetera, and that is the life of being a content creator, being a freelancer, being a business owner. And you have to find ways that work for you to like actually regulate yourself so that you don't feel like you're in survival mode all of the time. I used to feel like that a lot. Like I was like, I am just in survival mode 24/7 because at the end of the month, I'm like, can I pay my rent? And like
right.
that sucks. Like you don't want to feel that way. And so it's like how can you set up a financial system, a productivity system, data, all that stuff to support you, and you have to be really intentional about that. And once I became intentional about that, my nervous system is like way more regulated around money and around working with clients and you know the stability of being a content creator, but yeah, it's tough.
No, that's so true. I love that you're talking about systems because we talk about systems in the corporate work capacity of things. But when you're navigating rejection or you're navigating the transition of being all in on something, you have to let your nervous system catch up. I think that we reject the nervous system or we minimize the impact of the nervous system so much. And when rejection hits, realistically, your body feels it before your brain is even able to rationalize what just happened. So
Yes.
I'm really big on having quick little tips or quick self-care hacks that you can do to really help regulate your nervous system. I'm very big on breathing. A hack that someone taught me, one of my early guests on the podcast, she was like, if you take your index finger and your thumb and you rub them together, it's a really, really great grounding exercise. And just try and feel your fingerprints. And it's really grounding because it reminds your body that you are present and you are here. So when those emotional spikes hit and the adrenaline's running and your nervous system is very deregulated, again, a 2-minute beatbox breath, breathe in for 2 counts, breathe out for 2 counts, and really grounding yourself, feeling your fingerprints is a great way to really just regulate, kind of come back, and then figure out how
Yeah.
you're going to move forward.
I love that. In a podcast episode I did a little bit ago, I was having a conversation around regulating our nervous systems and coming down from like anxiety and stuff like that. And it was the same concept because I was like, oh, whenever I feel anxious or dysregulated, my first instinct is to just like journal. And
Mhm.
she was like, no. Like, she's like, okay, but you can't do that first. She's like, you
Yeah.
have to regulate your body before you regulate your mind. And I was like,
Yeah.
fuck. I was
It's
like,
like, how
"You're
do we do
so
that?
right." And it's like, it's so true. Like, it really is body first, mind second. And I think that's so important. If you are feeling dysregulated, stressed, overwhelmed in your journey, it's like the first thing to do is just like actually make yourself physically feel present and safe. And then you can approach it from like, okay, now let's think about the situation from like a grounded perspective. But when your body literally feels like it's in fight or flight, you're not going to
Mm,
get anything productive or good
at
done.
all. At all.
Mm-mm.
Mm-mm.
What piece of advice would you give someone who might be listening and they are on their content creator journey and they're just kind of newer and they're like figuring this out and they're trying to embody this energy of a business owner and like all of these things? I know that's a very broad question, but like just based on our conversation, is there kind of any piece of advice you would give to someone listening?
Yeah. I'm a very big advocate of fake it till you make it. Like,
Yeah.
I think that is the best self-care hack, life hack that you could ever embody because you don't become great at something by doing it once. You have to keep showing up. You have to be consistent. There has to be longevity in it. And it's so funny, right before this call, I was on, they call it X. Y'all, it's Twitter.
Very
Like,
good.
and he had made a post just saying, if you're not willing to do something for 10 years without getting paid, then don't start it because you're not going to have the longevity to do it. So do what you love, make sure it's aligned with who you are and where you want to go, and just keep showing up and doing the damn thing. And eventually, whether that's the right path or whether you need to pivot, eventually you will find your way to where you are exactly supposed to be. So fake it till you make it and just keep showing up for yourself. And you'd be surprised
Yes.
where you end up.
Period. I love that so much. Oh, this was, I don't know. This is great. I was telling Ericka before we got on this, I was like, I didn't even prepare any questions for this. I was like, I just have any topics we want to cover and we can just yap. And I knew that we'd be fine. And this was
That's
great.
all we need. That's all we need.
Um, yeah, thank you so much for being on the podcast. This was, I think, just a great conversation. And I think something a lot of creators just don't think about like actively. And I don't know. I just think we need to be talking about these topics more.
Yeah, we need to be talking about money more, how we're making money, how we're all elevating. I think it's so easy for us to have surface level conversations like, oh my gosh, your hair, your nails, your that. Girl, what are you investing in right now? Like,
Mhm.
how are you growing your money? How are you advancing your career? How are you elevating your life? How are you doing better? Let's talk about that.
Talk about it. I love that. So yeah, if you want to kind of hear about more topics like this, go check out Boss Babe Reset. We'll link that below. So if you want to check out Ericka's
Period.
podcast, you can. But this is great. Thank you so much, Ericka, for being on the podcast.
Thank you for having me and sharing your platform.
Of course. Thanks, guys, for tuning in, and we will see you next week. Bye.
If you want to become a UGC creator and get paid to travel, then my UGC Accelerator is for you. Fast track your UGC career with over 40 video trainings, live weekly Q&A calls, and direct access to me as your UGC coach. You'll get personalized feedback, accountability, and a proven 3-month roadmap to start getting paid UGC deals. Plus, an active community of over 100 other creators also on their UGC journeys. Some students have earned over $2,000 in UGC deals within weeks. And I have students like Lene, who quit her nannying job just 4 months after starting the program because of UGC. Or Katie, who's made over $12,000 in her first few months of pitching. Plus, there's a no-brainer guarantee. If you don't make back your investment in the program, I'll give you a full refund. So, if you're ready to take UGC seriously, click the link in the description to learn more.